Shalom. Is it Shamil you're looking for?
That's how it is. Here we go. Once upon a groove on an old soul tune. I watch the pin move to shape the breakthrough. Who makes moves, maneuver in the right direction? The rest of you get left behind and messed up in this session.
Welcome to Drunkcast Live. Yeah. Drunkcast Live. At Dog's Depot in Austin, Texas, I'm Travis.
I'm Dylan.
We're a podcast that takes place bars and restaurants all over the world, technically. Mostly the United States. All 100% of the United States. We'd like to have some drinks and talk to some interesting people about things that have happened over the week.
Yep.
We're a little behind just because of Thanksgiving reasons. Also, I came back from Hawaii and I really just didn't want to do any work.
Island time.
Island time. It catches up to you. Or catches back to you.
Island time. What's the word? The lag?
Yes. Yeah.
Island lag?
Island lag.
Okay.
Island jet lag. It's that fucking spam musubi and Locomoco time, you know, like...
Locomoco time.
I finally digested all the Locomoco. And
it took 4 weeks. Yeah. Finally got through you.
Yeah. I guess what I'd like to do with interesting people. We have I've wanted him on the show for quite some time. He's a really good friend of ours. He's been listening to the show, and I think he likes it. He's also an interesting person just in general, like a really good brain for not only the technical, but also is a huge food snob. It's Daniel Craig, ladies and gentlemen. Dylan Canfield, thank you for joining us, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
We really appreciate you for coming by. I just had to throw the food snob in thing because I'm proud of you. You have the most delicate taste of anyone who loves canned cheese.
It's a palate. I'm proud of it.
You were proud of the palate, yeah.
It's a Dylan thing.
It is a Dylan thing. All
Patina
Dylans.
palate.
Mm-hmm. A patina
They're
palate?
in the same vein.
Wait, your palate shouldn't get old like that.
It's aging properly.
It's aging properly, yeah. It's all stained and perfect, yeah.
Yeah, you can't fake that.
Give a rundown on what you do. I met you when you were a bicycle messenger. You've been doing that for a long time, for 3 or 4 decades.
26 years.
20. Oh, I was actually just making an old person joke. I didn't know it was actually 26 years.
Decades.
Yeah. And you came from Seattle, right?
I did come from Seattle.
Why'd you come to
Pacific
Texas?
Northwest. It was largely weather.
Okay.
I loved the sunshine.
Okay.
I came here for a bicycle race initially. Texas was not on the radar.
Sure.
And immediately fell in love with Austin.
Oh, yeah.
The people, the food, it's just a beautiful town.
What kind of race was it? Was it one of the scavenger hunt races that you've been to? Or
No,
it
it was a bicycle messenger national championships.
Yeah. So you a relay race of sorts where you pick up a package and you have to deliver.
Simulated work.
Yeah.
So you participate in a sport that is simulating your actual job?
Yes, we punish ourselves on a daily basis for the enjoyment.
And now we see
of
why
it.
you made the career change.
Yes.
Yeah. What are you doing now?
I'm largely deal with printers, but I'm a network field technician officially. I have no idea what that means. So
And you never will.
that is what the business card says.
Cheers to that.
Yay, cheers.
Cheers to moving up in a career that you can't possibly fathom.
Woohoo.
It's been a while since I took a full one of those shots.
DVD lemon.
So happy to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Because this is the first time, right?
This is the first
So I
time.
have to ask you the questions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
First question is, what are you drinking? Excuse me.
I'm drinking Jamie Rocks and the beer of Texas, Lone Star.
Now, I see you drink Lone Star a lot.
I do.
It's not your favorite beer, though, right?
I am fond of it.
Yeah. I am too.
It's a daily drinkable. It's like if you're going out dancing and you drink Rolling Rock. I hate to bring Rolling Rock into the picture. Zima. I might as well just say Zima at the same time.
Well, you drink Rolling Rock to sober up. You drink Zima because you're a time traveler.
Yes.
And Lone Star is, your daily driver. Yeah. And then, of course, you said you also have a whiskey. And the whiskey is just kind of a...
Jameson is a favorite. Once again, as a daily drinker, not as a special occasion.
I appreciate you're doing Jameson on the rocks. You're actually drinking it instead of taking a shot and going, oh, it burns.
I don't like the taste of Jameson. I don't understand it. But
I can respect that.
is it because it's too sweet? I don't know. I keep hearing that. It's because it's too sweet. But it's got you know how Jack Daniels has a kind of casky flavor? I don't know, smoky or not. Well, you don't really...
Jack Daniels is disgusting.
You don't touch the browns.
Yeah, I can't do Jack Daniels either.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Fireball, it's probably palatable.
Okay. Any other whiskey will do. Yeah.
Is Fireball technically a whiskey
It's a cinnamon.
or a dare?
I think it's a Jolly Rancher candy that they've melted down and then aged.
So many
Pour
years.
some rubbing alcohol in there.
The sugar just bloomed, it evolved into a dare, I think is correct, yeah. Second question is, what is your spirit animal?
That would have to be the crow.
Okay. For goth reasons, obviously.
Yes. No way. No way. No way. Always had a connection, per se, with crows growing up. They're prevalent in the Pacific Northwest.
Sure.
And as a child, I thought I could communicate with them. So.
Okay. Was it because of something that actually happened, or you just never gave up the dream?
I was absolutely on the border for the school bus, so I had a long walk to school.
Yeah.
And every day I would take that trek, and the crows would follow me on the way to school. And,
okay.
It just felt like there was something there.
Your familiars, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Third question, as you know, as you've listened to the show, has to be something that's unique to you, and you should never hear it again. Hopefully, what's the most money you've ever spent on a pair of headphones?
Headphones.
Mm-hmm. Headphones specifically.
That's a bad question for me. $10 CVS.
$10, okay.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Was that like an emergency buy? Because you didn't do anything else?
Because I knew I was going to be on a plane.
Okay.
And they no longer give everything away, like cigars and waitresses and things that they used to give
Like
away
they
on
used to.
planes.
Back in the day. Man.
Yeah. Back when you first started going to college. Or
Yes.
whatever.
Well, when airplanes were invented.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, of course. The Wright Brothers School of Aviation. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, so are you earbud person usually, or do you not really fucks around with
At
it?
home, I use Sony Studio headphones because I don't want to bother my roommates with my terrible guitar playing. So.
Well, sure. How much were those?
Those were acquired.
Okay. Way to skirt the story here.
Yes.
No, he didn't pay for them.
That's true. I like
Totally
that.
legal.
It's
I'll allow it.
by the bylaws of Drugcast, it's totally legal.
They have gotten so old that they leave little black flecks every time I wear them.
You know what you should do? I actually had to replace. I've always acquired my headsets too, my big headsets, especially gaming stuff. And a lot of places will sell the earpieces and the foam part, and they're really easy to replace. So.
I should just stop being Ebenezer Scrooge and buy some headphones.
Well, you can do that too, but for $15, you can get basically the same thing that you've been using, and it doesn't look like you have black dandruff,
I don't know how to feel about that.
Jameson dandruff or whatever.
Nice.
And the liver shuts down and sends it all to your scalp.
You get black flakes.
Yeah. I didn't know you use Head and Shoulders. Exactly. Oh, you answered all those questions correctly.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, you did great, and we love you. The end.
I believe the prize is a shot. So
Yes. Well, that's going to be the next round. So I'm more than happy to do that for a correct answer.
Oh, yeah.
We were lucky to have Thanksgiving this week. This episode will come out 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. I'm sure no one really is interested in most of the updates, but I think it was a pretty successful one, right?
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
it was nice.
endless amounts of food.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys were both able to make it.
Mac and cheese, baby.
Yeah, the mac and cheese was great, and it was the cheese
Cougar Gold.
Cougar Gold.
Cougar Gold.
Yeah, it's from what?
Not an innuendo.
So this is literally like it's a huge. It's like a basketball-sized can of cheese if the basketball is only wide.
Conical, not spherical.
Yeah, right. And it's like literally this. It's a can of cheese. So I popped it open. He Canfield. I'll call you Canfield for
Canfield
sake.
for Dylan reasons.
Yeah, for Dylan reasons. Yeah. You brought it to us after a trip there, right? Like you came to Washington and you came back with it, or
No, it is something that I get. It was a Christmas tradition at our home. It's from Washington State University. They have a creamery there.
Yeah.
The 4-H of college activities. And it's an
So
amazing sharp white cheddar.
super sharp.
So they churn their own butter, make their own cheese as part of the
Yes.
campus program. Nice. And that's where Cougar Gold comes from.
Cougar Gold.
Yeah, it was named Cougar Gold. It's an excellent name for cheese, and I can't emphasize this enough. I was really surprised that the can was dry inside, or that the cheese itself was still like brittle, and able to fleck. Because every time I open anything I ever open out of a can is going to have a runoff of something.
Some kind of goo.
Yeah, something I have to do I have to prepare to drip this into the sink and then? But no, it was excellent fucking cheese.
And my tradition is always to cut out the small triangle and make the Pac-Man of cheese.
Okay, sure.
Well, you
With
have
a
to.
wheel of cheese.
It's a great color. Yeah.
Yeah. Science.
You brought that for other foods though, right? Or it was just like, hey, you wanted to share that with us.
I just wanted to share the Cougar Gold experience.
Of course. Yeah.
Oh,
shared. We had saved it for a long time because we were going to do mac and cheese, which was great.
Yes.
That worked out.
That was actually a Christmas present from last year, so it was aged Cougar Gold. But it's in a can.
Yeah,
So
so it's totally fine. It would have lasted a Fallout easily. So
Sounds like it.
yeah,
it may be a Easter egg in Fallout 4. I'm not sure.
1 box of Cougar Gold.
It's worth
Cans.
$1 million.
Yeah, caps, bottle caps, apparently. It's really interesting in that game too, because the bottle caps are they're the big currency, but
Because they couldn't get the license for Pogs.
yeah, I guess right. Like I don't know what else you would trade, and you'll find like these unopened bottles of beer, or like Nuka-Cola is the in Coca-Cola in the game. But every time you drink one of them, you have a bottle cap goes into your inventory, so you just get $1. So every time you drink something, it's like, oh, here's an extra $1. But it's like that kind of plays in the face of why a bottle cap would be interesting or rare or whatever. But
That's voodoo economics right there.
Yeah.
voodoo economics is that a thing?
So the richest people in the game all have diabetes from drinking soda all day long?
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 1%.
I'm just saying, for everything you guys have told me about this game, there probably is some subplot with that. Just hidden somewhere.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You just sit in a room and just drink soda all day long until you get fat and die.
There's apparently in this game, I haven't seen it in the other games, but apparently in this game there is a fat person, one fat person, because like it's an after apocalypse scenario. Like literally, everyone is kind of starving a little bit, you know, and so you have to go out and get iguana and fry it up, or eat like the rad scorpions, or these huge things, like eat their flesh, like, and everything has radiation damage to it. But like you go into one vault, and apparently there's just one fat guy.
Did he secure the hostess factory? That was his
How's it going?
home base.
right. No, I haven't even seen the guy. I just saw one screenshot. I was like, what the fuck? Like, they do that thing, and like, well, of course, anything can happen in 1,000 vaults or whatever. 154. Whatever.
Actually, it's one of my pet peeves about post-apocalyptic movies and TV series. They don't take that into account. Like
Yes.
on Walking Dead, there's still a couple people who are kind of chunky.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I could see that maybe if you were first discovered, you had a stash, whatever.
Yeah, but it's several years.
But it's been like years later, like, no, why are you so fat?
Yeah.
You haven't eaten in weeks.
Well, and that character, one of the characters I think you're talking about was the pickup group they got with I can't remember any of the names, with the nerd with the mullet, and like Rosa, and then the other girl.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
She was from like the house that they had to kill their dad. Like,
like a long fucking time ago.
yeah, they like, had a whole truck full of food that kind of crashed in their apartment complex. So yeah, they had reasons to be healthy, I guess, if you want to use that word, bulk up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really was like a couple of seasons ago, and in the timeline of the show, that's like a year and a half. It's like,
Probably not. Well, no, she's gained weight since then.
yes, I believe she has.
that's weird.
Like
That's weird.
you get paid for this role. Take it seriously. That's my life.
Yeah. Well, I looked up.
Enjoy your craft,
I wasn't even
you
paying
know?
attention. I looked up and I was like, "Is she pregnant? Is that what happened?" And like, that would actually even make more sense if the character itself was actually pregnant. Like, you know. And then the
Okay.
actress was like, "Okay, I can be pregnant. That means I can eat anything I want," which is not right. If you're listening to this and you're pregnant and you're eating whatever you want,
That's right.
that's just read a book.
But there was a study recently came out that proved all that was fake,
Right,
and false,
right.
and terrible.
And it can directly affect how the embryo and the baby, up until the point that it actually can eat food, what food it likes.
Really?
If a baby, if the mother only eats pizza and never eats any vegetables, the baby's going to be far less interested in vegetables than they are in fatty foods or lots of carbs, etc. Like, it's pretty fascinating because it makes sense.
My mom always tells me when she was pregnant with me, she only ate pizza and drank red wine all the time.
Okay, that's the reason
That
why you
might explain a few things. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. A bottle a day, it's totally fine.
It's good for the baby. It's heart healthy.
It's heart healthy. I'm heart healthy for 2. Yeah.
Antioxidants for 2.
You do love the pizza rolls to this day.
I do love my pizza. Yeah.
Oh my god, pizza's so good though. Come on. Don't you like pizza, right?
Pizza? It's every food group in one dish.
That's right. That's why it actually is a food pyramid. Every slice is a pyramid.
A literal pyramid.
Representing all the food groups.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand meatless pizza. You're literally doing the worst to your body.
Yeah, you're stuffing carbs and sugar and fat with no protein.
No protein whatsoever. Come on.
Well, maybe a little bit from the cheese. But
Dairy proteins. It's like a liar protein. Don't pretend to me. Eat your soy.
curds are no way.
There's no way. Let's take our first break. Get some shots because I owe Canfield a shot now.
Tomato is a fruit.
Because
It is now.
It is.
I think ketchup's a fruit now, right?
You know, the actual fruits and vegetables are a culinary definition and have nothing to do with science at all. Like, they don't look at them as vegetables and fruit. Like, vegetable and fruit is a culinary designation. Like, so us trying to figure out, like, well, it has seeds or it comes from like, science, like, I don't know, we don't give a shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not heard that.
Yeah, it's interesting. But it's like, but they're called something. I think they're all called vegetables, I think. Or fruit from trees, whatever. I'll look that up.
We do have a botanist friend of the show who can tell us all about this.
No, that's right. God damn it.
That's right. We have a specialist. He actually has a doctorate in this.
I will text him right now and find out what's going on, and then we'll come back and we'll have some answers.
All right.
Be right back.
Break.
Wipe the dust off the canvas and wait till we break.
The call came from inside the warehouse.
Tripping on his deep groove, and the night's through. What a feeling, what a nice mood. A bam, boom, rock. We're here to rock you. It's like, damn, what a vibe.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Yeah!
Segment 2. The Double Deuce.
The Double Deuce.
Still in Downstairs Depot and still hanging out in Austin, Texas. Still hanging out with both Dylans.
That's right.
Crossing streams.
Crossing streams. One Dylan at a time.
I'm just surprised the universe has not imploded yet.
Yet.
Two Dylans occupying the same space at the same time.
So in the in some of the Lost archives, an episode that unfortunately was lost in had a hard drive crash. It was such a bummer because it was a lot of fun. Excuse me. We had wonderful Maya Kramer and wonderful Brandon Herr, Canada and California respectively. And Brandon Herr is he knows a lot about.
He is a botanist.
He is a botanist.
He literally is like a fruit engineer.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's not an exaggeration either.
He doesn't work for Apple.
He does not an actual Apple genius.
Yeah.
But he's a
An
genius.
actual Apple genius.
Right.
Actual Apple, genius.
He loves watermelons.
That's right. Yeah.
So I texted him because we had a question because I remember reading about how vegetables versus fruit is a culinary designation and not a scientific one. So I asked him, and he called the hotline.
Ooh. Let's go to the clip.
Hey, Travis. Or Drunkcast Live, I suppose. This is Brandon. I got your message. A vegetable is more a cultural description of a species than it is necessarily whether or not it's a fruit or a vegetable. Many vegetables are actually fruit. So watermelon, melon, zucchini, those are fruits, but they are culturally raised as vegetables and referred to that in academic and industrial aspects. The oddity is the tomato, of course, which is referred to, I believe it is as a vegetable according to the U.S. government for taxation reasons. I may have that backwards, though. Anyway, good luck. Hope you're having a good recording. See you guys soon.
Excellent.
Yay! Thank you.
That was 412-440-7468 if you, after listening to this, want to call and argue with him or argue with us.
You can also text us.
You can text us at that number as well. Then he sent me a couple texts. He said he had vegetables for taxation reasons. Fruit were tax higher back in the long ago, and they wanted to avoid it. So they made that designation in order to make certain things cheaper. And in my world, growing conditions, culturally defined, are all vegetables.
So it's growing conditions is actually part of the
part of the
the designatory process.
Yeah.
Designatory process.
Yeah.
Is how they are actually cultivated.
I went to a designatory in New York, actually.
Yeah, how much did that cost you?
It was $250. And they said I was not hipster enough, so I have official proof. But they did agree that I am a Pokemon trainer. So no one's going to argue with any of this because someone in New York told me. And I think that place is out of business. Cheers!
Yay!
Cheers, Cheers to having answers from actual experts.
That's right. That was a real expert. Thank you, Brandon.
I'd be really interested to find out how often that happens. How often...
Oh, I'm sure quite a bit, actually.
A description is based directly on physical need or in order to maintain some kind of...
Up until he mentioned it, I wouldn't have thought about that. But as soon as that door opened, Pandora's Furies came out.
Sure.
And now my understanding of things that are tariff-related... it happens a lot more than we think it does.
It boiled down to money, as usual.
It always does.
Yeah. Huh, that's interesting. One of Chance's ex-girlfriends had we were having a conversation. She is in the education field. Like she is like Brandon is an expert and was looking at the that skews like the way things are shipped between countries and how they were classified. And she mentioned that Crystal Light has its own specific, not what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Like basically classification. Because it's like regulated in a completely different crazy way. Crystal Light, for some reason, because it fell from space, I don't know.
It's made of water bears.
That's why it tastes like lemon. That makes sense. Fucking water bears. But I need to look back into it before I talk about that any further. But that was interesting. So yes,
I'm pretty sure they found that when they landed on the comet recently.
Yeah.
oh sure, little robot's like, hey, and I found Crystal Light.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
Man, Crystal Light tea. Oh, love it. Love it so much.
It's so weird how it can we did a genetic. Damn it, what's wrong with my head? We did just your general generic version of Crystal Light, like at an HEB, because we used to drink the lemon. It was really nice. We were brewing tea at home, and so it was nice to make a little Arnold Palmer. And fucking Christ, for some reason the HEB version, which is a local grocery store if you're not from Texas, tastes like peach. I don't know how they got that so wrong. Andrew couldn't even taste it, but it was like, this tastes like peach. This tastes like a peach lemon, and I don't like it.
Did it taste like peach in its natural form or when mixed with the tea?
When mixed with tea, yeah.
Okay.
And so I don't know how they were trying to make that work, but then you go back to the Crystal Light and it tastes so much of lemon, and it's like no sugar. It's magical, much like Deep Eddy lemon, like
It's made of Crystal Light.
It's made of Crystal Light, which is also made of
Comets.
water bears and comets.
Water bears and comets.
Yeah. Aren't we all kind of made of comets, though?
Sure. Actually, there are many scientific peoples and ideas that based around that fact, yes.
Just ask Neil deGrasse Tyson. Next time he's on the show for the first time.
Yeah. We'll ask him to explain himself, sir.
I was reading earlier that when he was 8 years old, he went to the planetarium, and they had this big thing. It was like when he first got exposed to space.
Oh, yeah.
And this big, beautiful thing in the planetarium where they were showing what the outer space looked like, and he thought essentially that it was bullshit because he grew up in New York. He couldn't ever actually see the sky, and so he thought there was no way there was that many stars, and like that's what piqued his interest. It's just like that one moment, you know. It's fucking cool.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. He's always welcome to the show. Obviously.
That's right. Oh, yeah. And we'll be happy to be guests on your show, sir.
Oh, sure. We have a lot to offer.
Actually, we'll even be willing to be fill-in guests when Bill Nye's not available and you're not either.
Sure. We don't need much to be on retainer either.
We'll do it for free.
Yep. Yeah.
As long as we can say the name Drunkcast.
Airfare not included.
No, I'd fly to New York to do that.
Fuck yeah, man. Last second.
Actually, my only caveat, if you're listening, Neil deGrasse Tyson, if you're ever on the show or if you're ever asking us to be hosts or guests on your show, I have one thing I want to ask.
Sure.
As my writer, my contract, is he has to make a drink for us.
Okay.
Because he's apparently is a cocktail craftsman.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Yeah. He makes up beverages, alcoholic beverages.
He makes them up, not
he
creates.
He makes up alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
And I want to have one of your beverages if and when other events, you know the rest. Go. Yeah.
Sure. And that impossible prerequisite, I agree with that.
It's a small price to pay,
I
really.
think it's a small price to pay. Yes.
All he has to do is make us a cocktail. We'll do the rest.
Yeah.
I do want beakers involved.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, I mean, we'll bring our beakers, right?
We'll bring our own beakers.
Yeah, bring our own beakers.
BYOB.
So yeah, Canfield's the first time in the show. What? God, we've been friends for how long now?
3.5 years.
Has it been that long already?
Time flies.
You're
Getting old.
You're definitely one of my favorites of the people that I learned about from Andrea's exposure to the jackalope.
You're my favorite patient.
That's true.
Yes.
Yes.
As featured on a previous episode.
I want to know more about you, but I don't know what I can ask.
I think for the listening audience, one of the things that has piqued my interest in the other Dylan sitting here
Canfield,
is the fact that you not only, well, first of all, the fact these things exist to begin with, then secondly, you went to them and traveled the world doing them. So, like, bike messaging has enough things that you actually have gone like to Japan and you went to
Japan,
Europe
Guatemala.
on like bike messenger rallies or excursions, and there's like competitions?
There are two major events each year, the World Championships and the North American Championships. Just like the Olympics, cities 2 years in advance post a bid. They want to host the event.
Really?
And we all vote on which city we'd like to go to.
That's really interesting because on the one hand, it makes sense. It's like it's a combination of kind of an older school realm of delivering very important packages, and at the same time, it's also probably murder to traffic in the city that gets shut down for this event. So it's like I like one and I like the other, but I hate one and hate them both at the same time. But I love it because it is like it sounds like it's very active. You can't just go into that as a slouch. You can't just show up and be like, oh, I ride bikes once in a while. Like, no. Like, explain. Like you said that they'll give you packages that are of odd shapes and.
It's a simulated workday. I would have to say that the races themselves may actually be more complex than the actual workday.
Okay. Yeah. Well, sure.
Depending on how long you've been in the industry, riding through traffic becomes second nature.
Right.
What might seem very high risk to other people just becomes a very natural part of your movement.
Right.
The bicycle is an extension of yourself. But these races, they set up very complex race courses where a split in the road determines whether or not you can deliver to a certain area, and you're presented with a manifest, the packages, the deliveries, what they're worth. And so it's up to you. It's not a speed race. It is far more a mental challenge of how to know what you have on board, how to deliver everything you have in the most proficient manner.
Sure.
So it's a beautiful event. Ultimately, it ends up being just a gigantic worldwide party of people with similar.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
Sure.
God, I can't talk at all today. The competitors in the race get to choose the venue. So, yeah, you guys clearly are going, well, haven't partied in Tokyo yet, so
Exactly.
let's do that.
And I've been very fortunate in that respect, where I've been all over the world, more than I have in the United States.
Yeah, I find that fascinating that your world travel has been because of being a bike messenger.
That's exciting as hell.
It's amazing. It's just so unusual, and I love it.
If there was some kind of competition for podcasting, I would totally go to it.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know how you could, objectively score points in that.
And we would probably be the best drinkers of any other podcast
of course.
out there.
Yeah, easy.
The same, calling it a challenge.
So because the big fascinating thing to me is the exact logistics of how it works out. How exactly? So they say, okay, this is going to be in Japan. This is going to be in Tokyo, for example. Or where was it actually when you went to Japan?
It was in Tokyo.
It was in Tokyo. How far in advance did you get a map of where you would be? And how far in advance, really, any of the rules? Like, because have you traveled to Japan before that?
I had not.
You hadn't. So this is completely brand new. This is a brand new city with its own different kinds of traffic, its own different kinds of people, and like certain packages, probably about the same. But
and Japan was a very interesting place. The amount of people crammed into Tokyo is outstanding.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And they also had set time limits on the packages. That was a new twist to the race.
Okay.
And I happened to not qualify because there was a 5-minute package that I decided I had enough time to deliver something in between, and did not. And despite wearing a Hello Kitty shirt, I was disqualified.
Aw.
You can't go with the obvious. See, I would have gone more, maybe a Karopi.
I mean, Hero.
You go to sure.
Maybe Pikachu. If you're nasty.
Kirby.
I mean, at least stick within the same universe. Like, there's so many different Hello Kitty characters. Like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to fight with you guys about which Hello Kitty character
Hello
is the best.
Kitty was probably a bike messenger at some point.
Oh,
of course. Yeah.
Pretty sure that Hello Kitty was the mascot of the Olympics in Tokyo, or at least there during the opening ceremonies to represent her nation.
In hologram form, of course.
Yeah, because they're years ahead of us in technology.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Years behind us in music, fashion. But they had the holograms. They actually, before Tupac was even alive, they had a Tupac hologram. For what? It was like a video game competition. Whatever. I'll look that up too.
Dance Dance Revolution.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Out of all of the races, I'd have to say that Guatemala was my favorite event.
Yeah.
Why was it your favorite?
It was in a very small town called Panajachel, of a village per se. It was my first experience with a third world country.
Sure.
And just the reception that we received, and it also got turned into a charitable event where we raised money and donated clothing, and it's hard to put into words. It was the most emotional event that I had out of all of them.
Oh, really?
Despite being an exotic, place to be.
Emotional, if I'm getting this right, in the context of how welcomed you were in the nation?
How welcomed we were, and the fact that we turned it into a charitable event for the people in the area,
Sure.
Which is not always part of the race. It was just truly a beautiful thing. At one point, we provided these blank representation of local art, and we brought it to the small school for the children. They colored all the drawings in that we had brought, and then we auctioned off all the drawings, and all that money went to the school that
That's
we were.
fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was just a really touching event.
Wow, nice. Yeah, and this is the thing that I never would have ever imagined
Oh, yeah.
came out of the world of bike messaging.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's like it checks off all those things. It's like, so you have a time element, you have a location being really interesting, especially for the people who had no idea. So they have to use their general understanding of how traffic works, etc. And then there's that true, like it's a true physical challenge too. Like far more interesting than the traveling up a mountain for a while. Like,
So
who gives a shit?
the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie, the best messenger movie ever, or the worst bike messenger movie ever?
I'd have to say Quicksilver is the quintessential
Quicksilver. Wow, Kevin Bacon.
bike messenger movie.
Wow.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, like 85-ish.
Yeah, I don't want
Post
I don't want to think
Footloose?
back that far.
I believe it was post Footloose. Yeah.
We need to take another break. Let's come back and we'll try to figure out if that movie actually exists.
It does. I saw the thing. I saw it. I've seen it.
Well, I know, but fever dreams and stuff.
It
Oh,
is
yeah.
a degree of Kevin. So
Is one. Well,
One degree.
He himself is a 0 degree, I think. Right. We'll figure that out. We'll come back.
Dusty bricks, bitters, mix, bitter cats, split.
It's solid science.
Got to get to where I'm going on this fortified train, slowly sewing my name on the quilt. Great, wipe the dust off the canvas and wait till we break. Like, damn, what a vibe. Woo! I got my
You think? Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Yeah.
Segment 3, the Fighting 3.
Damn straight.
This is the best of all the 3 segments that you'll ever hear on any podcast ever. I guarantee it.
Well, until I tell you my thing.
Not valid in the continental
guarantee.
What is your thing, Dylan? You
I have a thing.
You thought of something.
Segment 3 has always been kind of the rando, the whatever.
Yeah,
the
stuff we didn't
thing.
cover, but we didn't really have a lot of stuff to cover this week. We just
Yeah.
we had Thanksgiving and food and stuff.
I saw, I think it was last week, the most curious, and I mean that word with the question mark at the end.
Sure.
Yeah, kind
Little
of question
ellipses.
marks
There's
there.
ellipses and a question mark there. Yeah.
Documentary. It was Pauly Shore did a documentary
Go
that
on.
follows him on a stand-up tour of Wisconsin,
Okay.
and it was
Because they love cheese.
well, no, because it's where you can get work.
That's where you can wheeze the cheese. Right.
The weasel gets the cheesel.
Yeah.
It was fascinating. I started watching it at midnight, and at 1:45, I'm like, shit, it's 1:45. I have to be at work in 6 hours, but I couldn't stop watching it.
Sure.
Because it was interesting, and also the most narcissistic thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay. Sure.
But also still fascinating at the same time. Pauly Shore obviously is a punchline for most things.
Yeah.
But there are pieces in the movie that the documentary that he's the backstory is he's recording himself on tour, doing stand-up,
Yeah.
and he, as he mentions repeatedly in his show, his mother famously was the person who started the Improv in L.A. and the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Comedy Store.
Yeah.
So he grew up as a baby and teenager,
Destined to
but like
yeah.
surrounded by like I'm going to work. I have to hang out at work with my mom.
Yeah.
And hang out with Richard Pryor, and the worst. So he has this. He's like possibly the most product of the system ever to exist. Like fame and legend from comedy are these things that he only knows. He didn't know a different life other than perfection in comedy world.
Wait a second. So, like, if millennials are a disease,
he's the cure.
he would be he'd be patient zero, right?
He's absolutely, yeah.
Because he squandered that. Like, how could he go from being exposed to all of that and then turn around and say, well, I'm just going to do the crazy Californian thing.
And that's actually part of the mystery of it. That's why I was so fascinated with it, because he still is doing that Weezer character on stage. And his...
knowing that that's the person that everyone fucking hates.
From what I can tell...
He is literally trapped in a biodome.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the autobiography. He still does that character, and he still. So some parts that you start watching it, and clearly he was if not the director, is his project.
Sure.
He's what came on screen was what he wanted you to see.
Right.
And it both shows a narcissism as well as a vulnerability that is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Because the boy has issues.
Sure.
Now, what was really interesting for me, well, two things. One, that people actually still want to go to his concerts, but only in very, very weird places like,
Wisconsin,
Eau Claire, Wisconsin, or something during February.
Right.
But they're happy to have anybody there on a Tuesday night because it's 3,000 degrees below zero.
Right.
The flip side of that was they actually showed some bits and pieces of his actual show, and he's good.
Really?
But in a way that's like accidental.
Okay.
No, because he's the child of that product, like the Comedy Store product. We have these brilliant comedians over the years who grew into the brilliance of the modern comedy age, I would say.
Sure.
Like, really, Richard Pryor, Stephen Wright, like people who like that's a weird leap. But point being, people of that ilk, where you can throw out a list of names, and they are people who were very, very influential for many, many years later.
Right.
He grew up in that. So I'm not sure if the things he says on stage that I caught were that's fucking brilliant, that's great stand-up, were him knowing comedy or him having like a built-in inherent...
Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, exactly. The genetic code says that's a funny line. So, but there are
just
these
subconsciously he either has the timing down or actually he learned it.
There are these weird moments where he actually says, "Man, you know what? I would watch your stand-up because there's pieces that you are brilliant. You can work a crowd. You're smart. You're funny." But you start off all your shows with, "Hey, buddy, I'm the Beasto. Hey, remember that time I was on MTV?" Like, yeah, it was 25 years ago. You can stop talking about that now.
His whole stand-up long ago was mostly about jerk-off humor.
Yeah.
Like literally, like, not as a passive, like...
No.
Not trying to be diminished. Literally, he's just like...
He still is doing that, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But what caught my attention was just the weird moments of... I want to say brilliance, because I don't think he has enough foresight for that. But
not like Stephanie Meyer or anything, right?
Mimicry.
Inherent genetic code built in.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. Let's go with that. Muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
He saw somebody else do it, and he has it in his head, and he can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I'm glowing over this. It was a very fascinating look at a particular Hollywood celebrity, in quotes.
Well, it reminds me of the Jamie Kennedy movie, the documentary Heckler.
Yeah.
And that same kind of like, okay, so he wanted to put this song in order to what? To show blank. Mm-hmm. And it's under the guise. Like, are you familiar with this documentary?
I am not.
So Jamie Kennedy is the worst of all people. No.
Hey, Malibu's Most Wanted is a good movie, and I stand by that.
Sure. I don't remember what else he's been in besides that and Son of the Mask.
Scream.
Was he in Scream?
Yeah, he was the guy actually was the foil saying, what happens next is...
Okay. Anyway, he made a documentary about heckling like a stand-up comedians and their heckling issues.
Dude, it's called heckler.
So he was an expert at this point.
Yeah, essentially, and like, but you find out really by watching the documentary that like, so he has these different. He's asking like, how do you handle hecklers and what do you do here? And it was all pretty sincere. Talking to comedians about some of them really enjoy hecklers because they like to like they plan some heckle like responses. Like sometimes it adds to like, okay, well I don't know what to do with this next joke, and like this person saying something like, okay, cool, I can take a break and just make fun of this dude, you know?
Yeah.
It's open over here.
Okay, love you. And so it was all very sincere. And then by the end, it's him grabbing people who heckled him in a show, Jamie Kennedy specifically, and just confronting them. And like, that's neat. And then it all became about Jamie Kennedy and how he's the greatest and all hecklers are idiots. And it's just, it took this crazy turn where it was just like, narcissism. Like to make a documentary about yourself specifically, it goes back to Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary, like, biggest bummer of my life. But he was one of my favorite comedians, like at my age in high school, growing up. Because when No Cure for Cancer came out, it was fucking really funny stuff.
It was.
I didn't know what I was listening to. I didn't know like it all sounded like it was off the cuff stuff, even though it was probably most likely definitely practiced. And it was very funny. It was mean. It was different. And it was just this big thing. And then I found out that the Comedy Central roast of Dennis Leary was a request from Dennis Leary specifically. Like he asked to have a roast, and it's like that's off the fuck. No, absolutely fucking not.
Justin Bieber did that too.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
No, he did.
Yeah.
So that means people who asked to be roasted
Yeah.
were Dennis Leary and Justin Bieber.
You don't ask for a nickname. You don't spit in the wind.
Yeah.
You don't.
You don't tuck a Superman's cape,
Right. Right. Exactly.
and
Yeah.
you don't ask to be roasted.
ever. It's the rule of threes, Liz.
I do appreciate the ability to be made fun of,
Yeah.
like to appreciate your own.
Oh, it's fantastic.
yeah.
And some of the best stuff. Oh, Jesus Christ! Joe Rogan's actually fucking super excellent at hecklers.
I'm going to pretend that was all bleeped out.
I promise you. Like, that dude just gets mean, and like he does mean in a very funny way.
Well, that's the steroids talking.
I mean, Joe Rogan was also the guy who like showed the world that Carlos Mencia is a piece of shit.
That is true, and he earns my respect for that.
Yeah, and he turned that whole fucking show into a crazy farce.
He got the show canceled.
Wait for the train. Yeah. He got that show canceled because he just like got up on like Carlos Mencia's up there, and he just came out. And he's like, "You're fucking putting real comedians out of work, and you suck."
Dirt.
Yeah, dirt. But yeah, like being able to handle a good heckle is fucking cool. But I'm sure it's
Unless you're Jamie Kennedy.
I'm sure it's fucking frightening. And if you're Jamie Kennedy, you can try to restart your career that way, and then it didn't work. So, cheers to that.
Yay! Shots, everybody.
So many shots.
Jamie Kennedy, the other Kennedy,
Or the other Jamie in your case.
the other Jamie.
It's a big hat. It's fun.
I would like to watch a documentary about Pauly Shore. It bums me that it's by Pauly Shore, which is the whole theme of this segment.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious what he's done and how he's gone, especially if you're looking up and saying, maybe he knows what he's doing or maybe not. Like, I love that kind of weird dichotomy of human.
Yeah, that's what caught my attention.
Yeah.
It was just this fine line of, like I said, egomania and or I purely am an entertainer who knows my product. I'm trying to pitch to that audience.
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference. You don't know which way it's going.
Yeah.
or actually, the third thing, horrible cry for help.
Yes.
As with most comedians.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was fascinating. Yeah, I really recommend it. If you enjoy 90s nostalgia, or if you went through the whole Weasel era. No, seriously. I recommend it highly if you are from that era. It's fascinating. Yeah.
And there are sub-articles because the internet is true.
Yeah, all of it.
Interns working for Pauly Shore have written things about what it's like to work for Pauly Shore.
Well, he's banned from the strip clubs in Austin.
Yes.
At least one that we know of.
Yeah, and Donnie, who runs an awesome little podcast at this point because it's a little baby podcast. Awesome Couchcast. Donnie has a friend named Clay who was he was a valet dude.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And he met Pauly Shore, and Pauly Shore fucking tugged him around and tried to get him to do a bunch of shit and didn't tip him. Like, he's just like, there's a lot of experience with Pauly Shore being a fucking
we
terrible
actually
person.
have a Kevin Bacon degree of
A separation
first-hand
with-
experience.
Yeah.
Goddamn 1%ers.
And apparently he's banned from the Yellow Rose here in Austin.
Yeah.
Because he's walked out on thousands and thousands of dollars of the tabs. And
You just don't wheeze the juice that hard, man. Right?
Weasel.
Canfield, who's your favorite comedian?
That is a tough one.
Oh, wow.
Stand up?
Yeah, let's go stand up, yeah.
And I realize that this might be controversial, but Robin Williams, his stand-up is brilliant.
Yeah.
I understand that he grabbed from a lot of other comedians, but I truly feel like
he did.
Robin presented his own brand of humor.
He did. No, he was good. He was good.
Robin Williams, I know. Okay, so my very first comedian was Robin Williams. My very first one. Like I did with Dennis Leary in my high school years, but Dad gave me all of his records and a record player, and Robin Williams live at the Met.
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
That's a great one.
Oh my
yeah.
God, it's so fucking great. And you watch the video later and you find out that sometime between little small interventions, he's going and doing probably a lot of fucking coke.
Yeah, and grabbing his dick a lot.
But like, yeah, sure. But like the thing that he did very, very much more than anything else is he just spewed really good content constantly.
I agree.
And 98% of it was excellent. And then the 2% was kind of goofy and weird or whatever. Like, there's okay, I am not a person who is fine with comedians stealing other people's materials. And I do know that there is data, there is truth, that he came up to comedians and said, hey, I like that joke, I want to buy it from you. He never stole, he bought jokes, and he would never use a joke he didn't buy. So I'm a little on the fence about whether or not it's okay to... But like, when you're just constantly, especially at some point where you're not doing coke anymore, because this happened after he tried to go clean, after seeing a Belushi die because he didn't decide to stay or whatever, you know, like these things happen. Like I'm totally fine with it, and to find out later on that he not only was suicidal, but because he was going to have Parkinson's, right?
Yeah.
Fucking for a person like that, like no, absolutely not. I understand. Like, so I'm pro Robin Williams forever. Like, forever. I'm also pro Jim Carrey, which is not as popular
But Robin
anymore,
his stand-up was a very distinctively different thing from a lot of his acting work.
yeah. Oh, sure.
And his comedy was solid. It was very solid. He's one of those guys that his first love truly was being on stage and when people making them laugh.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
really was a stand-up first, everything else second.
Crazy improv too, because
And he was good.
If
He
you
was
remember
good.
that thing from the Met, he would do these several shows, and the video one had this thing, and the record was different. But one segment of his show, he improv'd a Shakespearean play based on the crowd's requests. Like,
yeah.
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, the off-the-cuff humor is beyond anything else.
Yeah, beyond anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to the same well a lot,
Oh yeah, of course.
but
of course.
he was solid. He was good.
Yeah, it always worked out, you know. And if
Yeah.
it didn't work out, he was always there with, you know, balls of rum in his pockets.
Yeah, yeah.
A joke for the kids.
Yeah. So your first comedian ever was Robin Williams. Like,
Yes.
that's your first experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Canfield, what was your first comedian?
Eddie Murphy. Those
Yeah,
records,
yeah.
I played them nonstop. Well,
Eddie-
and I
Eddie
actually
Murphy
have to
Raw?
go a little bit
Yeah.
further back. Steve Martin.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I had the 45 for the King Tut song, and like,
Awesome.
and that's that transition into the musical
Yeah.
genre, but like
Yeah.
comedy music or whatever you want to call it, like that's a genre, and it's a beautiful thing.
And Steve Martin.
And
is
Steve Martin
fantastic.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I also watched all the early SNL.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff.
He was like the fifth Beatle of SNL
Priceless.
for a while. Yeah. But Eddie Murphy Raw was the first
Eddie
comedy
Murphy.
special I ever saw on HBO. Of course, it's like '84 when I was not. I shouldn't have been up that late. That's my point. But I was like 12, I guess, when that came out. 112. I'm lying. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of changed a lot of things for me as far as comedy.
I agree.
It was really cool. He was funny once.
Gallagher was my first televised comedian,
Ooh.
which was really big.
Oh,
was
Gallagher.
big.
We've
Yeah.
talked about Gallagher a lot.
Gallagher, Carrot Top.
Yeah.
I hate to pair them, but to me, it's the same thing.
Yeah, sure. The production of the thing, like Carrot Top was still a little smaller But like Gallagher, I remember very vividly Gallagher riding out a yacht on wheels.
Yeah.
Or like a huge like boat or schooner or whatever, like on wheels, and he's coming out and he's got the captain's hat on, and he takes the captain's hat off, and the hair that he had was in the captain's
Pops
hat.
out, yeah.
And that's a gag. And then the rest of it's all about like just life advice and just like basically everything that the blue collar comedy tour tries to pretend to be.
Yes.
That's a great parallel.
Yeah.
He was that
He was that first guy.
that genre, that common man.
He was what do they call arena rock? Arena rock is the concept of
Yeah.
I can't remember what the actual band is that was pretty big when arena rock the concept came out.
Queen, Boston,
No. Very new band.
Foghat.
No, newer, way newer than that. In the last 15 years,
Creed, Nickelback.
arena rock is the concept of arena rock
Limp
is that
Corn Biscuit.
it's no. It's music that only sounds good if the entire crowd is singing along with it. And once we get to a break,
Spice Girls.
Once I remember the actual band, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But that was the first concept of like this bigger than life comedian on stage and like who had everything planned and then just smashed shit like whatever reasons. I remember very vividly his rules for like, and I said before, don't poop or pee in the shower. Just don't do it.
Shaw.
And then everything else blurred away. I don't remember a single other joke. I just remember like that's good advice. I will not do that, Gallagher. Thank you for being there for me. You know.
Gallagher shaped the man you became today.
Yes. Yes. Who doesn't poop
Ever.
at all?
And it's a delicate subject these days, but before Eddie Murphy, I did listen to a ton of Bill Cosby.
Oh, Bill Cosby was hilarious.
He was hilarious in his day.
Yeah.
And it was on record.
Yeah.
For kids these days, that's a black piece of plastic that you throw on a thing. And,
Sorry, I made noises happen.
Yeah, you probably got that one over there. There, but
put a needle on and play.
yeah.
But I listened to a ton of Bill Cosby, and his routines were hilarious.
Cheech and Chong's, their albums were fantastic.
Cheech and Chong.
And then, I'm talking about just album only. And then,
Even before I
yeah.
understood what they were doing,
yeah.
I thought Cheech and
then,
Chong were hilarious.
Bob Newhart, I think, was the master because he was on stage by himself having conversations on the phone with
Yes.
nobody. But you know what they're saying without him saying anything.
For a split second in the time of Austin, they had a comedy channel. Like in their,
that's right,
God,
yeah,
that was the
yeah,
most
yeah.
beautiful radio station they ever had.
The day.
Except when Jeff Dunham's episodes were being played.
Well, and that's always weird because he's a ventriloquist, and so it's weird that he's just talking to another person. You find out later he's talking to himself. That's not funny. Whatever. But goddamn, when that channel. Two things. When that channel finally died. Like I literally just listened to random music until it turned into a Tejano channel. Like I was delivering pizzas. I was listening to it. I was like, "Oh, this is weird. Maybe this is a joke song that's going to happen." And then it literally like within the hour turned over to something else that was not comedy at all. But like I remember specifically listening to like that thing while I was delivering pizzas and just enjoying. And then Bob Newhart came on. I was so fucking excited. I was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." Because it was like, yeah, he would get up on stage and say, "So this is me talking to a person who wants a ticket to fly to Vegas." Hello. Like, yes, I don't know. He had that shit so well. Like, oh, fucking Bob Newhart.
oh, he was brilliant.
He's so fucking funny.
brilliant.
Yeah. The new CEO of ERCOT looks exactly like fucking Bob Newhart.
And Newhart is still invited on the show. I'm just saying.
Isn't he? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And actually, the original comedy shock jock, if you want to call it that,
Andrew
Smothers
Dice Clay?
Brothers.
Oh,
And I'm dating myself.
You say the Smothers Brothers?
Smothers Brothers.
we'll unpack that, but we have a.
Wait. Yeah, let's unpack that because I don't. Shock jocks. Anyway, okay.
It's all translatable into the modern shock jock.
We'll take a break and we'll figure that out after this.
Break.
Wipe the dust off the canvas and wait till we break.
I could talk about bike messaging for a couple more hours.
And the night's new. What a feeling, what a nice mood. A bam, boom, rock. We're here to rock you.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is segment 4 of this, the fucking toast segment, where we wrap up anything we missed, anything we didn't do before, and we also have a toast. Things got dark in this fever dream I had a little while ago. And there was a couple things we didn't really cover correctly. Like Donald Trump.
Have you seen this? Heard about this? In Florida today.
In Florida today.
Other Dylan, you had a tribute you wanted to pay
Yes.
to a fallen soldier.
I did.
Let's do a toast.
Yes.
We can also toast the Marshmallow Man and turn this into a s'more party. But
Well,
stay puffed, everyone. Stay puffed.
stay puffed.
But you said you lost someone on Thanksgiving.
I did.
How long did you know Jeremiah?
For as long as I've been here in Austin, which is a fairly brief amount of time in the grand scheme of things, 4 years. But
Sure.
just a beautiful soul, and I appreciate all the time that I had with him.
Yeah.
To Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Jeremiah.
Won't be forgotten. Sorry.
Re-clink.
I intercepted the toast there.
What was Jeremiah's drink? Do you know that?
Surprisingly for a diabetic, rum and Coke.
Wow.
Sure.
Probably should have avoided that drink as well as the copious amount of cocaine, but
Cocaine's good for diabetes. I think.
It's a counterbalance, right?
Yeah.
Or no, it's Anyway.
I think officially it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. By drunk-ass standards, canon, it might as well be.
canon is always the ultimate factor. That
Yeah.
I think that might be called the
it's
cannonball.
the Vulcan
actually.
in you.
It's the cannon.
It's called the cannonball.
It's only $150.
Cocaine, rum and coke, right in the veins.
Sure.
Yeah.
In liquid form. In POG form. I'm sorry.
They're back.
I'm sorry you lost.
Yeah, I know.
I noticed something hit.
Yeah.
The holidays they're the rough. The holidays have this kind of thing.
Yeah. And even if it's not related to family, it can happen subconsciously. Something will happen. You say, you kind of look up and say something. Just if it's the winter, if it's not knowing that Game of Thrones will never finish, whatever it is, the holidays can get really, really rough because it's about family, and if you can't get to family, but sometimes you can get to other people. That's my point. Sometimes you can just say hey, can I just do anything else? Sometimes someone will say, maybe. I think it's enough. But,
I agree. Under that same vein of thought, family is very important, but your friend network is ultimately your life.
Yeah,
And I was privileged to spend Thanksgiving with you all.
absolutely.
And just grab what you have in life. Your friends are very important.
Yeah, and family can be great, but it's also forced on you. You can choose who your other family is, your real family. That's the reason why we did this orphan Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Is because at some point you look up and say, what I want to do is I want this to be thankful for the people around us. And more than anything, I was just so thankful that you guys, both Dylans, were able to come and just stay with us, eat our food, hang out, watch 30 Rock with us.
You got double D'd.
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah. Andrew loves that. When both of you guys show up.
Whoa.
But yeah, it's about moving forward and making a tradition of your own, even if it's something simple. If it's your birthday and your birthday is this, and you want to change that. It's you. You might find a place where you're going to say, for sure, this is going to be a family thing, a true family thing. Have to see the mom, have to see the dad, have to whatever. But make it yours. And if you don't want it to make it yours, then change the fucking script. It's all up to you. You have that fucking power as humans. Or do the exact same thing and eat your, terrible cold turkey. The turducken was all right? You guys enjoyed it?
No, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Good. It was quite good.
The bottom may have fallen out, but that's the penalty for a menage a trois of birds.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Small price to pay.
Yeah. Dirty rice.
Cost of admission.
Right. Buy a ticket, take the ride.
There was a thing inside
tongue
of
is
a
not
thing
working.
inside of a thing.
Well, it was wrapped without bones, too. Usually when you start taking bones out, you either have to be a pretty good engineer when it comes to meat, or you turn it into paste and then you wrap it around a la McDonald's, you make that pink slime. And of course, pink slime could be anything you want it to be. So
Is it a strawberry milkshake or is it a McNugget?
Right.
You never know.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving it. Trademark.
We're coming to the end of this show. You had a good time. The show. Canfield, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
Great to have you on the show finally. This is going to happen again. I'd love to intermix you with some cool people that we have on the show pretty often.
Or he can just be by himself.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's great just getting down to the brass tacks of us hanging out too. So.
Well, the collective history between the two of us is all of human history.
Yeah, it was 6,000 years. Yeah. Don't think so much for helping me run the show. If you like the show, you want to know more about the show, you can go to drunkcastlive.com. That's drunkcastlive.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/drunkcastlive. We're on Twitter at drunkcastlive on Twitter. You can find us in the iTunes store. You can find us on the Zune store. Just kidding. The Zune store doesn't fucking exist anymore. We finally killed the beast. We're Drunkcast Live Pics on Instagram. If you want to go find the 700 pictures that we put up that mean nothing to followers. And at any time you can email us at questions at drunkcastlive.com, 412-440-7468. 412-440-SHOT. That is a shot line. You can call that number or text that number, and we will respond to your text. The last one we got was really, really excellent, and I hope if this is your first time listening to the show, go back and listen to the last one. That's what we like to do. We like to listen to the entire thing. We like to talk about the conversation and see what it's like, and we hope you do too. What else? Is there anything else? Think we got it?
I have a joke, but it was already ended that earlier, so...
Tell the joke. It's funny. It's funny.
No.
Okay.
It was a MASH reference.
Okay. If it's a theme song reference, then that goes back into being super dark, and we'll do the whole segment over.
We'll get Patrick Stewart.
I did. Yeah, of course I did. Yeah. But we love you so much, and we love you for listening to this episode. If you like this episode, again, go back to iTunes and put up a comment or tell your friends about it because it helps. And if you can prove that you've telling your friends about some stuff, I will send you some things. Questions at Drunkcast Live.
Yeah, we will.
We got some money to send, or we got some koozies, or even some special stuff that no one knows about that I don't even know about yet. We will send that stuff to you if you can just help us spread the word and have a good time.
Absolutely.
But until then, we love you, and we'll see you next week.
We come to let you know what the deal is.